human respiratory system. Respiration. A car needs energy to run. We fill petrol in the car. The petrol burns and gives energy to the car to run. Similarly, the food reacts with oxygen of the air and energy is released by the oxidation of food. For this, we need oxygen. The process of taking in oxygen by the cell, oxidation of food with this oxygen, and release of energy and carbon dioxide is called respiration. Respiration is a biochemical process. It involves intake of oxygen from the environment, breakdown of food, release of energy and carbon dioxide, elimination of carbon dioxide. Therefore, we respire to get energy. Human respiratory system. Lungs are the main respiratory organs. They are connected with the external air through nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles. Nose. We breathe air through nose or nostrils. The nostrils open into nasal passages. In the nasal passages, air is filtered, warmed, and moistened before entering the lungs. Pharynx. It is the common passage for food and air. The opening of trachea and pharynx is guarded by a muscular flap called epiglottis or uvula, which closes glottis while we swallow the food to avoid entry of food into trachea. Larynx. Larynx is the upper part of trachea. It is also called voice box or Adam's apple. It connects pharynx to the trachea. It is a sound-producing organ which contains vocal cords. It produces sound by vibration in vocal cords. Trachea or windpipe. The air from nasal passages reaches the lungs through trachea. It is divided into two bronchi which enter the respective lungs. Inside the lungs, bronchi divide and redivide into bronchioles, which further divide and finally end into air sacs or alveoli. Lungs. Lungs are the main respiratory organs. They are a pair of spongy, highly elastic, and bag-like structures. They are enclosed in an airtight thoracic cavity which is formed of backbone, ribs, and sternum. A large muscular diaphragm forms the floor of thoracic cavity and separates it from the abdominal cavity. Lungs have numerous tiny, thin-walled and air-filled sacs called alveoli. There are about 750 million alveoli in lungs. They present a large surface area for exchange of gases. The surface of alveoli is covered with a fine network of blood capillaries. When we breathe in, these alveoli get filled with fresh air. Oxygen from this air enters the blood capillaries and carbon dioxide from blood comes out in the air. Process of respiration. Respiration includes following steps: breathing, external respiration, internal respiration, cellular or cell respiration. Difference between breathing and respiration. Breathing is a mechanical process whereas respiration is biochemical process. Breathing is pumping of air into and out of the lungs. Respiration involves exchange of gases between blood and air in lungs and between blood and cells, oxidation of foodstuff inside the cells to release energy. Breathing provides oxygen to the body cells for respiration, whereas respiration provides energy to the body cells for various life activities. Breathing occurs in lungs outside the cells, whereas respiration occurs in lungs outside cells and within the cells. Breathing, the process of taking in fresh air for getting oxygen and giving out used air rich in carbon dioxide, is called breathing. It is a physical or mechanical process. It is the process of pumping air into and out of the lungs. Mechanism of breathing. Breathing involves two processes. Taking in air rich in oxygen into the lungs called inhalation, giving out air rich in carbon dioxide called exhalation. The rib muscles and muscles of diaphragm work together to aid in breathing. During inhalation, the ribs are raised upwards and outwards by the contraction of rib muscles and the diaphragm is pulled down. The volume of thoracic cavity and lungs increases and the air pressure inside the lungs decreases. Fresh air from the atmosphere having higher pressure rushes into lungs through nostrils and air passages and the lungs get filled with fresh air. During exhalation, the ribs move downwards and inwards and the diaphragm moves upwards. Ribs and diaphragm return to their original position. The volume of thoracic cavity and lungs decreases and the air pressure inside the lungs increases. Air from the lungs is pushed out through air passages and nostrils. What we inhale and exhale. We inhale and exhale air, but the composition of air inhaled and exhaled is different. The air inhaled has more oxygen and less carbon dioxide, while the air exhaled has less oxygen and more carbon dioxide. Difference is inhaled air contains 21% oxygen, whereas exhaled air contains 16.4% oxygen. Inhaled air contains 0.03% of carbon dioxide, whereas exhaled air contains 4.1% of carbon dioxide. Effect of increased physical activity on breathing. Inhalation and exhalation occur continuously and alternately. One breath means one inhalation and one exhalation. The number of times a person breathes in a minute is termed as breathing rate. Normally, we breathe 16 to 18 times per minute. Breathing rate increases up to 25 times per minute during fast running and heavy exercise. External respiration. During external respiration, there is exchange of gases between air and blood in alveoli of lungs. Oxygen comes into the blood from alveoli and combines with hemoglobin, the respiratory pigment in the RBCs, to form a temporary compound called oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin is carried by blood to body cells. On the other hand, carbon dioxide from the blood enters the alveoli in the lungs. Internal respiration. On reaching the cells, oxyhemoglobin breaks down to release oxygen. The released oxygen from blood enters the cells. On the other hand, carbon dioxide from the cells enters the blood. Cellular respiration or cell respiration. It is the breakdown of glucose inside the cells to produce carbon dioxide and energy. Common respiratory diseases. Asthma. Asthma is a lung disease in which airways get inflamed and produce extra mucus. Inflammation makes the airways swollen and narrow. This triggers coughing, wheezing, and shortness of breath. Asthmatic patients suffer from shortness of breath and difficulty in breathing. Whistling and wheezing sound while exhaling. Asthma may be due to allergy, occupational or exercise induced. It may develop at any age. Asthma is triggered by cold air, air pollutants and irritants, pollen, dust mites, mold spores, and pet hair. Bronchitis. Bronchitis is inflammation or swelling of bronchial tubes that carry air to and from the lungs. Symptoms include coughing up, mucus, wheezing, shortness of breath, and chest discomfort. Bronchitis is caused by viral infection, dust, air pollution, or some bacteria. It is also caused by smoking or due to occupational hazards. Pneumonia. Pneumonia is a bacterial disease which causes an inflammation of lungs and affects alveoli. Old people, infants, and young children are more susceptible to infection. Symptoms of pneumonia are cough with sputum, which may be with blood and rusty or green. Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is an infectious bacterial disease that affects lungs. It is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The symptoms of tuberculosis are coughing sometimes with mucus or blood, fatigue, low-grade fever, loss of appetite and loss of weight. Fast breathing and feeling short of breath, shaking, chills and fever, chest pain during breathing and coughing and feeling of tiredness and weaknesses. Diagnosis. Symptoms: blood test and chest x-ray help in diagnosis. Treatment. Normally antibiotics, cough suppressant and fever reducing medicines are given. Usually, tuberculosis affects lungs, but pathogen can enter bones, brain, kidneys, etc. Tuberculosis can be diagnosed by skin test, blood test, chest x-rays, and sputum tests. Tuberculosis can be completely cured by antibiotic treatment, rest, and healthy diet. Spread of tuberculosis in the society can be prevented by giving BCG injections.